such an asshole.
So Reen sent me a deep dive request, and at first it didn't seem like, oh, I know the answer to that. And then the more and more as I thought about, I'm not kidding, I took like a 20-minute shower, just like, no, how does that factor in? How does this factor in? And then once I delved into it, I'm like, no, there's a lot more moving parts going on here. And so what I did is I took some notey notes, and that's why I got the top lights on. We're not in our cool, moody blue lighting because I need to read this. So let me go through Reen's requests, and I apologize for the reading type of nature of my notes, but I want to be clear so we understand the phenomenon, what we're witnessing in the real world, and what it actually is. Hey, Cappy, might turn this into a request later since you have so many requests, but about a year ago, you talked about women's PR nightmare. I'm genuinely curious about I'm genuinely curious after the communist Cure video and one of Legion of Men's. I may link if I do this request. So he provided a link to it. And the communist Cure video we're talking about, somebody actually found it. I did a video on it beforehand. I was doing a reaction video to that. Many thanks to Men Need to Be Heard. Subscribe to his channel. But this guy found the original uninterrupted one. And all it is this blonde girl who says, you know what? Literally a guy with funny mustache. Literally, go watch the video. She says, if you give us communism and matriarchy, then we'll have sex with you. That is literally what she said twice. Right? Maybe not written down. I have the video link below. You can watch it. So that's what he's referring to there. You think they can ever recover? You think they ever, guys, you gotta use punctuation, man. Do you think they can ever recover? I think since it's on the internet, I'm not sure they can ever go back. Do you think they can ever recover, period? I think since it's on the internet, I'm not sure they can ever go back. I think like mainstream media, the reputation as a whole has been damaged permanently. I agree. Lastly, like Obama, comma, I do think for generations, men had the idea of hope for a loving wife and kids. And I think for the current generation, that hope has been snuffed out by reality and numbers. It has been snuffed out by women's behavior on the internet, as evidenced wholly by that girl with the communist video. I need to set that up because that's going to drive me nuts. Anyway, just a thought to revisit after that horrible communist chick. Let me know if that would be worth doing. Yes, it would, because men need to know what the interests of women are because you are interested in women and vice versa. And as I've said many times before on research like this, that your primary interest being women, you're going to spend the majority of your life and your money and resources and time pursuing them. So it is good to know what the majority of your clientele base is, like your prospective customers, right? Get to know your customers. What do they want? Because don't waste your time building a factory and making widgets they don't like if it ain't going to be the right color and the right quantity and the right quality and all that other stuff, right? So before I go into this, let me simplify my explanation by saying we're going to remove all women that are capable of love and are truly in love. All right. I'm sick and tired of doing this exception. Yeah, I know there are some women who like sex. Yeah, I know there's some happily married couple. Let's remove them all. And based on research that I've done, truly happily married couples, like the couple I saw who were 70 years old holding hands in Walmart, they are exceptionally rare, right? If I'm saying 14% of marriages end till death do you part happily, even. That's the numbers I had on the book of numbers. So we're talking 86% of everyone else. And keep in mind that marriage till death do you part includes generations from long ago who are different valued and don't exist today. It's probably a lot worse now. All right. So I want to hear this. Well, I know a tall Asian. Shut up. We're talking the majority of people. Yes, I know there are some women who love their men. Yes, I know there are some women who love sex. I know, ladies. Thank you very much. We're now talking about the remaining 86% of you. And based on how horrifically bad marriage is going today, I don't want to hear it, but I know a man. Shut up. This is generally most men and generally most women. All right. So in the beginning, all right, historically and today, society and women needed the production and the commitment of men. Certainly in the past. especially during before the industrial revolution, right? Men were doing all the wars, we were doing all the fighting, we were doing all the building, we were doing all the farming, creating all the food, and women stayed home and took care of the children. They simply didn't have the physical strength to do it. Even though today, in a post-industrial world economy where white collar work is now able, women can do work too. Still, the majority of the work, 60% of GDP, is still produced by men. And when you look at critical GDP, right? A girl buys a Birkin handbag for $80,000. Is that $80,000 worth of GDP? Yes. Is it really an increase to standard of living? No. A civil engineer does $80,000 worth of work to make sure the water doesn't get poisoned. That is infinitely more important. And depending on what you consider critical infrastructure, men are at the low end, 75% responsible for the shit you actually need: electricity, medicine, food, farming, welding, to I'd say as high as 95% if you want to just look at straight up trades like mechanics, linemen, and things like that. Society, and by, because we're talking in reference to men, that means women, but society, other men as well. You don't believe it? Here's your source. Here's your source. Department of Labor, A World Without Men. Lots of fun, pretty charts in there. So society still depends on men. Totally. You are totally dependent upon men. Totally. This goes away if men aren't investing. If we don't work, you're over. You need us. So then you guys say, kind of know your customer. It's important that the sexes know what the other sex wants. Well, what do men want? Men want sex. I'll say they want sex more than they want children, as evidenced by various communities and men just abandoning their children. And I have that's what they want. You all know it. That's if you need to clutch pearls, go away. Go tune into Oprah or some of The View. I hear they're still doing their schlock, their middle-aged barren womb, dried up egg schlock. Yay! Let's listen to dried up egg schlock. The View, everybody. Go listen to that. Empirically, though, what do men want? They want sex. So now you say, okay, men want sex. They also want love and children. I admit that, but I'm gonna say that's second. I'm gonna say it's second to sex. Guarantee. Yep, I'll stand by that. Regardless, men want sex and family and love and children. All right? So you say, all right, men want sex. Women generally don't, not as much as men anyway. But we'll give it to them because we need them. We need them. That was all of historical. Like, you needed a man to survive. That was true. That was certainly true. But you can't just go up to the guy and say, a logic trick. I want a video game. And I go to the GameStop, and the GameStop says, you would like this video game? I say, yes, I would like that video game. They say, well, we would like money. I say, well, here's your money. And then we give that. That's a simple transaction. You can't do that with men, because if you say, well, I want sex, and the girl says, okay, well, pay me. The guy says, okay, well, here's your payment, and there's the sex. Because there's another thing men like more than sex. That's sex with a variety and a lot of women. And if you're just going from girl to girl to girl, well, you get one transaction. There's one little bit of GDP. Men are not going to spend their entire life slaving away, building a home, farming the farm, and toiling in the fields, when a hourly tryst, or maybe a 15-minute tryst, will satisfy them. They say, well, we'll get some GDP. If I were to go and look up what the underground economy, well, let's look that up. Now, I know it would change. How big is the ladies of the evening market? $14 billion. That's a fraction. That's nothing. Now, I know that would drastically increase if you got rid of marriage. So 14 billion, where it is illegal mostly. All right. You're not going to if that's $14 billion worth of production, you're going to get out of men who got to pay for it. And there's no emotional or free, mutually beneficial, voluntary investment. Like when a labor of love, the man fixes the house, or he fixes the car, or he raises his kid. That's a labor of love. You don't get paid for that. But ladies of the evening, renting it is dirt cheap compared to buying. Why buy the cow when the milk is free? It's really not free. You got to pay a price. So they realized that, okay, we got to offer men something better than mere sex. because we're not going to get all the production out of them. And I'm not saying society got together and said, okay, hey, gang, here's how we're going to hoodwink the men. This just evolved, and I will not deny that having children and family play a huge role in men's emotional and free labor investment. I'm not dismissing that. I'm I'm focusing on sex because now we're going to get to what women offer down the road and why what this communist lady said was so exposing and frankly embarrassing. So they say, all right, well, what do we got to offer men for them to commit to one thing, form families, because you got to commit to one gal. The kids got to be stable, right? Despite what Democrats and socialists tell you, children need their fathers. I know that's sacrilege to you leftists out there. So we got to offer them something better. What else do men want beyond sex? Well, you know what they want? I came up with it. They want love. They want children. They want support. And I don't mean financial support. They just want the moral support of their wife. Like, and basically, I did a video where it said, basically, support means shut up. That's basically all it means. Right? It'd be great if you had cheerleader. You know, you had a cheerleader wife. And she's, you go, and it's great. I wrote a book called Zero World Problems. And I write this perfect day. And at the end, the woman says, you're the greatest man ever for all you've done. It's like, that never fucking happens. So now we'll just settle for silence. Stop nagging. But they want support. They want loyalty. They want the woman not to run off with some other guy. They want the kids to be their own. And then, as always, they want the benefit of having one woman is, in theory, you would have constant sex. That's good sex with an attractive woman, right? You have a regular source of good sex with an attractive woman. And if you look at the totality of what marriage and commitment would offer, that's kind of what's on the menu there. And that's mostly what I figured. I think I captured that. Now, we added all these items to the menu that comes with marriage. And in exchange, men would then commit a lot more time, freedom, energy, love, sacrifice. You know, they die for the family and all that. But just permit me a little tangent. It's still transactional. See, it's still transactional. But if you pointed that out, like, look, I've said it a million times before. As an economist, I laugh my ass off. If I go pay Susie Q $300 down at the truck stop to give me a BJ, we actually got gas stations called BJs out here. So I go to BJ's to get a BJ, right? And I pay Susie at your truck stop gal $300 for one. That's shameful. That's bad. But if I buy a $5,000 wedding ring, pay $50,000 for a wedding, buy my wife a $400,000 McMansion, bail her out of her student loans, pay for this, pay for that, while she has her part-time nonprofit gig at the Help Out the Degenerates of Society let-in club, and then she divorces me, and then I got to pay alimony, not child support, because you should support your children. Then I got to pay her alimony. What the fuck was that? Oh, that was love, because you had a ceremony and you signed a piece of paper. Fuck you. And this is why Terrence Popp, all the men who've been divorced, they go and they do the immediate calculation and say, how many women could I have afforded with what I paid my wife? And then you find out, and you find out that leasing, of all the lease buy decisions between houses and buildings and everything else and boats and all that, well, maybe boats and planes, maybe those are even a better lease versus than buy decision. You come out so far ahead leasing sex than leasing sex than buying it whole. You do. It doesn't even come close. But presumably for these higher, more important, loftier things, you would invest more into that family. So I just want to point out, I don't care what cute little ceremony you had and speeches and vows you gave in front of whichever God you worship. You're still paying her. But it's love this time, Aaron. See, I bought her a car. What's the difference if you just gave her $50,000 to buy that out? Oh, that would be prostitution, Aaron. What kind of man do you think I am? What kind of woman do you think my wife is? I'm one who just skips the process of money, I guess. You're even doing the favor of buying the stuff for her. Here's my credit card, sweetheart. It's not prostitution because it's a credit card. I always ask. I'll stop the tangent after this. What if I give Susie Q at BJ's? What if I give her a gift card to Walmart. Am I a John and she's a hewer, or is it love? You tell me, great philosopher. Tell me, Christians, which one is it? I always love that one. Anyway, it's still outside of true love. Remember, I've removed the women who are truly in love with their husbands and are excited to be. I'm removing that. So we're talking about 85% of you, as it was in the past, and definitely still to this day, unless you girls decide that you're going to pay your own student loans off. It is still transactional, and that's fine because it's always been that way. It's always been that way. There's nothing wrong with that. Anyway, so the proposition to the guys is we give you segs, good, reliable, unlimited pool from an attractive loan as long as you can stay attractive segs. We give you love, we give you children, we give you loyalty, and get support. That worked before the Industrial Revolution and the welfare state because women needed men in order to survive. Women didn't have a choice. And this is where I actually am sympathetic to women and why I understand why they use the word liberate, where they're free and they don't need no. I understand it. I don't agree with it necessarily. Some of it I do actually agree with, but I understand it. That's fine because the one behind closed doors, you guys didn't know this. This is where my other research comes in. If you don't believe me and you want your sources, get this book and get this book. And you need to get to the chart. I'm going to show the chart here. I'm not kidding. Probably the most important chart I've ever come up with is this one in all my research. This right here, you need to get to that chart. Because when you look at women's behaviors, and now we don't have data going way back before the Industrial Revolution, okay? But once you had the Industrial Revolution, white-collar work became available. You had a welfare state, and laws were passed that allowed women to divorce their husbands. Women were free to make choices as it pertained to committing to men as they chose. They were free to actually make the decisions of the men they were interested in because they no longer were economically dependent on them. And it's great. It's like, hey, there's no more influences or biases in this experiment we're watching. And you got to see women's choices basically since the baby boomer generation on to see how interested they were in men. And ideally, you'd say, well, this is great. Technology is growing. The economy is growing. Women don't need men anymore. They can work too. And now instead of getting married out of necessity, we get married out of choice, out of desire. And you would think, marrying the people you wanted would lead to lower divorces rates. The boomers said, hey, go down to the liquor store and buy all the beer. And you come back with all the beer. And the boomer would say, give me all of it. And they're holding the beer. And like, what are you doing, boomer? And the boomer says, hold all my beers. And then the divorce Olympics began. And no one's ever beat the boomers since. They've gotten gold every year. And what you've seen, boomer on, is women's true and genuine interest in men, which one might argue is negatively biased. Some women are pushed by feminism to hate men, not be interested in men, be ideological adversaries towards men. And certainly that, I would say some of that is true. Feminism has not helped relations between men and women. But if you look at the divorce rate with the boomers, there's a big spike in divorce rate when the World War II generation came back too, if you want to look at history. I am looking at all the other numbers and data in these two books. I'm pretty thoroughly convinced women never liked men that much to begin with. Again, we have removed that, whatever you want to call it, 10 to 15% of women who actually love their men. They love guys. They love sex. Yes. Oh, they found the right one. Okay, I got it. We're removing them. The vast majority of women are not interested in the vast majority of men. And I think we're slowly waking up to see that. You're all kind of starting to wake up to see that now, especially with the advent of the internet, because we have online dating. You boys have gone out there and asked girls out. You got shot down the majority of the time, though that was the majority of instances previously. Anyway, the majority went in, you had that Okay, Cupid study, 8% of women do not rate men attractive. We're starting to compile all this information, and if you could step back and remove your hormones and your testosterone and your genetics from your eyes and look at women in terms of like studying the wildebeest of the Serengeti, you're like, wow, their actions show they don't hate men, but they're really not that interested. They are really meh about men, and they're also based on various measures. Again, in the book of Numbers, if you want to measure sex drive, they have about 1/9 the sex drive or interest in sex in men. Cappy, how do shh? Go get your other figures and prove me wrong. Okay. And I don't have to because I always love that. Women like sex too. I'm like, oh, is that why 98% of all prostitutional transactions are from men to women and not women to gigolos? Is that why that is? Because if you were just as equal, let's go. You're cute enough. There's a dark alley back there. Are you interested? Let's go. Never take you up on it. Not that I've tried. I've never uttered those words. I like a girl I just didn't know. So where'd I get on my notes? Okay, so now women don't need men. They really don't. They could support themselves through white collar work or the welfare state or a combination of both, usually in combination with their parents bailing them out as well. And the women that are getting married, the ones that are getting committed, you say, okay, we took these vows till death do us part and all that other stuff. They start to renege on these contracts, whether it's something very explicit like a marriage where you actually exchange vows. Wait, fucking throwing those out. Or actually in action. Let's now return to what was promised to men if they got married. First love, that's fucking out the window because most of you girls are not that interested in men, right? It is still transactional. You still need these men. This is, why articles like economically attractive men are unattractive men, economically unattractive men. You would think, hey, strong, independent, why not? Nope. Height and money. Those are two important things when it comes to the dating profile. And you could argue it's a genetic holdover. I wouldn't disagree. And yeah, you should go after someone who's financially stable, of course. But given that still half the marriages end in divorce, and based on my research, the remaining, 28% of those marriages are miserable. No, I'm sorry, are happy. So 28% of the half that remain are happy. So only 14% of marriages end up happily married. And I would argue there is no love in the vast majority of American marriages. It was 5 days ago I saw that boomer couple holding hands. It stood out. You know why? Because none of you love each other. You should all admit that. But there is no love. The children? Shit. Are they mine? Are you bringing some other crotch fruit from another man into my relationship? Oh, you want to be bailed out for your mistakes? And then are we going to raise my children the way I want to? Or are you going to be, I cut off the segs if you don't let Jimmy cut his unit off because I want him to be popular. I can post him on social media. Admittedly, that's not most wives, but you don't have your own children. You don't. And then when you look at divorce, who gets custody? Am I wrong? It's lopsided, isn't it? Something like 78% of the time women get, most custody of the children. Support, dude, the nagging wife is a trope because it's true. And they don't do this consciously. This is just their survival instinct because they need to get all the resources. They had to make sure that you're doing your best. You will have to train your wife or your significant other to denagify her. And it's very simple. You do that again, you're out of here, and have a conversation up front. You're like, you're never nagging me about anything. You will never critique me or criticize me. Not once. And you'll see how few women can turn that off. You'll be shocked how few it is. It's ingrained. It's genetic. Ladies, if you want to keep a man, right there, right? Unless he's like doing drugs, then yeah, maybe you ought to nag him about the line of cocaine on the glass table while the kids are playing, Legos or whatever. But generally, the nagging is just her being a pain in the ass. There's no support. There's no support. None. You get, man, you take the garbage. Gee, Brian, I don't know why all the men are single living alone. Loyalty, I don't know, what is it? They say a third or a quarter of women cheat and 40% of men do. Men cheat higher than women. That you throw in with divorce, that's a form of infidelity, I guess. Like, oh, I promise to be with you, death do you part, ha ha. And then the boomers laugh. See, when you don't know this, see, because you guys weren't around, because the boomers are getting married, right? The marriage ceremony wasn't the serious marriage ceremony. It was a comedy routine through sickness and health. And everyone, sickness and health. That's funny, Bobby. Till death do us part. Oh, like the Ray Liotta laugh from Goodfellas. Like that. It was a comedy routine. They had no intention. You weren't there because you weren't born yet. But then you're like, oh, was that serious? Like, nah, that was just a Saturday Night Live. We were inspired by, all those hairy armpitted people in Saturday Night Live in the 70s. And maybe it was funny. Yeah, that was a comedy routine. The marriage vows. They should have filmed it, put it up there with like Celebrity Roast with Dean Martin. So the loyalty, that's half you end up getting divorced anyway. You add in infidelity while married. What are we looking at? 30% loyalty rate. And she probably wants to go bang other guys too. Now, you guys want to bang other women. That's in our genetics. Women in theory, I don't know. I stopped caring long ago what's under the hood of women. Yeah, is that how you feel? Yeah, okay. Oh, look. Batman the Animated Series is on. Let's go. But you're not guaranteed that either. And then this is my favorite. Like, it's not just a reliable, constant pool of sex. It is a reliable, constant pool of sex with an attractive woman who has good sex, right? Because my option is go lease it. And I find one I like, I kind of maybe repeat customer of that one, right? First thing women do, get fat. And for those of you who are married, I'll tell you the story. You want to hear the story again? Time for gather round, kids. Uncle Cappy's going to tell you the story. Now, at the cigar lounge, relatively new. People don't know me or my girlfriend. Girlfriend's not there, so someone else, like out somewhere. And they asked, "Oh, how long you and the gal been together?" I'm like, "Yeah, about 15 years." And then this woman asks, "Well, aren't you married?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "Well, when are you going to put a ring on it?" I say, "Oh, because I like sex too much to get married." All the guys fucking laughed. All the girls got pissed off because, don't know if I mentioned it before, it's fucking true. Women don't like sex as much as men. And since that's the most important thing to men, and I'm fascinated with women's I don't want to say hatred of sex. I'm sure they like it, but they really seem to hold on to it like Golem does his ring. They obsess over it to an unhealthy level. It's really like, wow, it's that big of a thing. And you don't like it that like if Cappy, do you like hot dogs? Not really. What do you want? Yeah, sure, I'll have one. I'm not like, no, I won't have the hot dog. Ah! They do not like sex anywhere near what men do, as married men will attest to, because once you sign, I don't know if you knew this, when you sign the piece of paper, now the bear trap jaws of law crashing on you. And you can't negotiate no more. You can't pick up and leave. Now without losing half your shit or going through a long and costly legal process. And that's the one thing you were really interested in. More than most. I will say that. More than love, more than the kids, you want a good, reliable sex. And they more often than not turn it off or they make it low quality by gaining weight. Tell me I'm wrong. You can tell me I'm wrong all day and I'll say, fuck you, you're the liar, because I'm right. And you know I'm right. And if there's proof, if there's evidence, women are not that interested in men, it's been the increasing obesity among women. Men, same thing. Apparently you like food and sloth more than you like sex. But from the perspective of getting men hoodwinked into a committed relationship enforced by law, which continues to extract continued labor and resources out of men, that's the bait. That's the bait on the trap, right? Like Bugs Bunny or whatever. There's that big cartoonish bear trap, and there's a carrot on it. But Bugs Bunny's too smart for that. Bugs Bunny knew, oh, Elmer Fudd put that carrot there. I know that's a trap, right? You guys keep on going for it. And it snap. Why is my leg caught in this thing? What do you mean half? Those kids aren't mine? How do I gotta chew my leg off? Yes, you do. That's getting out of marriage. You see this finger here with no weight on it, just doing whatever it wants, all floating in the sky. Oh, I'm gonna go over here because I'm bored over it. I'm gonna go back. That's what it's like not having a ring on this finger. And just in case you guys know, you can have a committed relationship without marriage. I'm not joking. You can have the hoo-ha that has herpes, or you can have the hoo-ha without the herpes. And I can't believe how many of you guys, because of social pressure and family pressure, religious pressure, you say, no, but I got to get the hole with the herpes. Why do you have to permanently damage yourself like that? Just me. I like my holes without the herp. Herpless holes, right? That'll be my new website. We'll market to be a dating site. Herpless holes. But Jesus and parents and society and do right thing. Just a trap. Especially now when you look at women's behavior in marriages and post-marriage. What happens? They renege on most of this stuff to varying levels and degrees. Again, not all. Some women, like I said, there's that 10% of women who actually like their husbands. Okay, so now, when you look at their actual behavior, again, we look at it like we're Jane Goodall looking at bonobos in the jungle or whatever. It becomes very clear, especially nowadays with the internet, that women are only fractionally interested in men, if at all, and a significant percent, though not all for everyone, and not, but and in cases a majority for some or all for some, women have at least a significant interest in a man's ability to create wealth and pay for her shit. Even in a post, feminists are saying, oh, we're strong, independent. Bail me on my student loans, please. I hate men and Donald Trump. Like, if you just shut up and work more, you'd be independent. You wouldn't need the student loan bail. Aside, you get evidence increasingly now, boomers and post, that women were never all that interested in men to begin with. And if they were, they'd be asking you out. They'd be saying yes to dates. They'd be showing up. Are you starting to see it now? Right. But right, in order for this to continue, right, in order for women still want commitment, they still want to get married. Society still needs your production, which they're losing, by the way, where if you want, go get this book, A World Without Men. The data is showing that men are waking up. They're getting out of there. But that doesn't mean some of you still can't be hoodwinked through social pressure, religion, tradition, or maybe you want to get married and have kids. And so a facade has to be kept up for 85% of the population where you keep promising men these things. Where guys are like, yeah, but my old man got divorced and his old man got divorced. Why? Oh, no, but love, and then you get the sexy poo. Then you get the sexy poo. Video the girl was saying. And commitment and love, and I'll be supporting. And here's the vows. The facade still needs to be there. So Charlie Brown gets suckered in to go and try and kick that football from Lucy. Right? But here's the thing. Lucy never said, I'm going to pull the football away from you. Lucy always lied to Charlie Brown, and it was actually quite philosophical. Well, Charlie Brown, why would I ever do that? And Charlie Brown, like a sucker, would run in and try and kick the ball. She'd pull away from him again. That woman's video, pay us for sex. Her argument was, we need to turn this into a communist matriarchy, and then we women will promise you sex and attention and affection. You spilled your hand. You showed your hand. That's Lucy telling Charlie Brown, I'm going to take the football away. That's Lucy not even showing the football. Like, nah, I didn't even bother showing up with the football, Charlie Brown, because I pull it away from you anyway. And Charlie Brown's like, well, shit, I'm not going to kick the football. And I think this is where, as Reen wanted to talk about, women's PR nightmare begins, or has been beginning for quite some time. Because the internet, and you're right. You're right to say, well, that was a TikTok idiot rage bait girl. There's all these other TikTok girls and all that. Right? These are all TikTok. They may not have a bearing on the real world, but I will argue they rhyme and they correlate. And it is what men are seeing. And when you girls tip your hand and literally say, well, you want sex? Well, you better pay us. The jig is up. You took away the football. And yeah, there will always be dopey men raised up in weak, limp-wristed, left-leaning Christian households. Oh, marry the girl. There will all be these guys. I always want a traditional girl, and oh, I'm going to be a good guy and commit instead of hit the gym, and then she'll see the inside, and then I might peen get touched. You'll always have rubes and yokels. You'll always have suckers and easy marks. But when girls start making it very clear, whether it's OnlyFans, whether it's outlandish TikTok videos or whatever else, yeah, we're going to pick up on it because, men, we invest all of our time into that pursuit. And you guys got to, like, guys want to know if they're wasting their time, money, effort, resources, not to mention their mental energy or emotional energy. And you see this, you're like, oh, so it is just for money. And oh, that means this is a big old trap. And oh, well, if it's just for the money, why don't I just fly out to Pahrump, the Virgin Destruction Tour? Here we go. Why don't I just go to wherever it's legal and get myself something by the hour? Because that marriage thing was never going to last anyway. Why would I bother bringing innocent children into this world on a relationship that is not founded on mutual beneficial love and a lust and a yearning for one another and a selflessness, but it's transactional, and she's going to leave anyway and not honor that? Why would I form a foundation or a household or a family on that weak foundation? And again, like I said before, men's primary interest is sex. Kids, and if you just watch generations of men before you get divorced and not have what was in the contract, not get the sex, you're like, well, shoot, why would I? Marquette, just a cool, interesting guy. He's out in Vegas. Don't quote me on it. He was saying this guy is wealthy, one of the smartest men I've ever met. Fashion like freaking James Bond, man. He's just got fashion. I forgot what he does, but I'm pretty sure it was him who's like, no, I don't go on dates with girls. I go and I pay for it, like escorts, not for sex. It might happen. He's like, I need women to show up on time, and he's like, no, that's why I pay pros. And I'm sure he's not hiring the dumb ones who don't know how the big hand and the little hand works. I'm sure he has the ones that show up on time, pa, 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 pa. And you know what? He's got a lot less problems than your average married man. The girl showed up on time. There was no bullshit. I think there's more of it's like more of a geisha where if you study Japanese Japanese rental markets, geishas were not just people with holes. They were trained to have etiquette and no politics and all that. Girls, by the way, if you want to make billions of dollars, being a refined, punctual woman that can be taken out in public to high-end events, there's some money there. There ain't even sex involved with that. That's a fraction of the cost. A joy and a pleasure to be around, as opposed to going through all this horse and pony shit show ceremony, not to mention the courtship ritual of dating and drama and arguing and all. Like, no. The product, here's where it is. When you say you're in it for the money, ladies, now we know what the real product is, and we could compare it against competing companies. And there are competing companies that offer a better product, a drastically superior product at a much lower price. And you let the cat out of the bag. You keep letting the cat out of the bag with idiotic women like this saying, if you give us socialism, then we'll give you affection. Well, why don't I just pay? Why would I vote to have all my assets taken away by the state so that you can have socialism? And then why I pointed out, so then, yeah, then you girls are going to honor your word and touch peen? The fuck you will. Why would I do that? That's just as complicated as getting married. to get my peen touched. All of them are transactional. All those situations, all those options are transactional. So why would I do something complicated like get married when it's transactional? Or why would I vote to have a socialist state installed, tremendously transactional, when all I have to do is pay a girl for an hour and then she goes away and I get the number one thing I want out of it? And then you all wonder why men are dropping out. Oh no, wrong book. This one goes over labor force participation rates of men, how many hours they work per week over time, both of which are dropping. And then there's a really scary picture where you guys seen the meme. Men thinks it's okay to live like that. You should be fucking shitting your pants that men could get by, and I estimate to be about $22,000 a year. That should scare the piss out of you. Those pictures where it's just a roll-out mattress, a TV, and a PlayStation, because that's all men need to survive. And that means they're not working that much. They're working a fraction of what they have the ability to. And it's all because they've seen so many contracts get reneged on with their fathers and their grandfathers, not to mention dating and all the propaganda that's on the internet. And you girls literally tell them. And then you girls, well, you don't know why I can't find a man. Where have all the good men gone? You know, at least Elmer Fudd put some twigs and branches around the bear claw trap with the carrot kind of right there. You girls remove all the twigs and the things and the fixings. You put bright light. You paint the bear trap with glitter. You put bright side lights on it, a disco ball, a ton of warning signs around it. Warning, bear trap ahead. We're just hewers at the end of the day. And then you're all wondering, like, why are men going into the bear trap and grabbing the carrot? Literally, Lucy saying, I didn't even bring the ball, Charlie Brown. So you might as well not bother. And then, why is it Charlie Brown kicking the ball? Where have all the good men gone? Again, now, I don't care what happens. See, I ain't got no kids. I don't care what happens. Never wanted kids. I already got my woman. I don't care what happens. But if you ladies, and it really is a question for you girls, guys have walked away. They're just like, no, this isn't worth it. The proposition is costing them their lives. They got to live first, you know? They got to feed themselves and house themselves first before they can even think of any of this nonsense that you're propositioning them with. Right? So they're already on their way out. Right? That's why you're not sitting there. No, I'm not dealing with this. The question facing you girls, and it's going to probably be more of the younger generation because they're the ones that have been brainwashed with. What do you want? If you don't like men, which I don't think most of you do, that's fine. Then don't worry about men. Where can I find a man? Oh, there's no good men to marry. Just go join a convent or join a club or just go off and do whatever it is, because there aren't any good men. They did the analysis, they've done the research, they've researched the product. Like, nah, this ain't for me. I was gonna buy this car, but I think I'm just gonna lease a different one. Right? But if you want a guy, well, then you're gonna have to. Unfortunately, it switches now. Now they're the customer, no, they are the product. You are the client, and you want that product. Well, you got to figure out, what does that product want? What does the purveyor of those products want? Well, they want, I don't know. I had it written down here before. Did I mention sex? Limitless sex with attractive women. That's good sex. Did I mention that? My precious, Zoe, you want my precious. Fuck you. I'm not going to try to fuck Golem, okay? Guys are not going to fuck Golem. No guy is like, look, let's just say it's a regular old day in the Shire, right? Now, none of you girls are going to get this because this is Lord of the Rings. It's really fucking funny what I'm doing, right? And I'm walking down the path in F Streets. I'm walking down the path, and then there's Golem. He just shows up out of nowhere. He said, no, you want my precious, my precious. I'd be looking at that ring. I'm like, dude, I don't want your fucking ring. I don't even know who the fuck you are. Keep your fucking ring, okay, buddy? I'm not gonna fight you for it. But you wants it. You wants it. You dirty, disgusting, shallow man of a pit. I'm the last thing I want now is your ring, Golem. Just go. They got internet prawn now. I'm not. You take that ring, man. So that's for you to square. If you still wanna hold that in the holiest of regards, that's fine, but that's what they want. That's the currency they're gonna they really only accept that currency. So you can part with my precious or not. There probably is a good analogy. You know, Golem was obsessed about the ring to the point it destroyed him. I wonder if girls are the same way with their sexuality, where it's like the most not really protected, but the thing they most obsess about through feminist theory and you men and I'm gonna that's and after a while, it's just like, buddy, I like if I said, hey, that's a trying to think of something. I see a guy with a motorcycle, like we're friends. I'm like, hey, that's a pretty cool motorcycle. Mind if I give it a ride? No, you can't. Takes it from me. Okay, fine. I don't. You just covet my precious. I'm just gonna not be friends with you anymore. Going away. I'm like, does that obsession, does it really ruin their lives? I wonder. I wonder. Someone else flush that theory out. And then the other things, oh, I don't know, love, support, commitment, loyalty, and maybe children. Have you thought about being nice? Have you thought about delivering that to men? And then maybe you'd get the marriage that you wanted. If you want it, though, I understand. I'm being serious. A lot of you find that degrading. You find that beneath you. He just wants sex, and you expect me to be, cook him cookies. And like, look, here's a real quick way to tell which camp you're in. Would it insult you to give him a BJ after you make him a sandwich and give him a shot of scotch and prepare his couch for watching his favorite movie? Is that degrading? Do you ever remember the conversation? I had the the gal from the past and everything, like I could have swore she liked me, and then I got this obscure email from her, which again I save to this day, where I just think it's degrading that you expect your women to wear lingerie and serve you drinks. I'm like, oh, did I dodge a bullet there? Like, do you find lingerie degrading? Well, then you're not in the market for men, and you should give up on your pursuit of men. But knock it off with this. Why can't I find Owen? And I could why even be on dates? Why? Why are you there? You're wasting your time. Men are getting savvy. They're waking up. They're going elsewhere. I mean, the passport bros, they're the ones like, look, I do want to get married and have kids. I gotta find a traditionally minded, marriage minded woman. It's okay if you're not marriage minded. Stop torturing yourselves and the men in the country, even being on dating apps. All right. But I'll tell you this, you got to stop tipping your hand and telling men, well, we just want the money. We just want free shit. And then your peen get touched. Well, then that's losing. You're not going to ever get it because then guys like, oh, well, for a $58 Spirit airline flight, and I don't know if they got a bus that runs out to Pahrump, and a rental car for $100 that day, and $1,500, I can get laid in Pahrump. Yeah. You know what would be interesting is what would it be? Commitment rates near areas where ladies of the evening are legal. I'd be curious, like if you could just rent it. It's not cheap. I'll tell you that it's not cheap. If you could just rent it, does that have a negative effect on commitment rates? Not marriage, but just commitment rates. It's like, well, I'll just go over there. I wonder if that would have the effect. And shh, does it, you have to pay for it. We all, yeah, that's the point. You literally said we have to pay for it. See, it's one of your team members that said that, right? And so that's the PR problem women got, at least in the West, is you've made it. Some of you are making it abundantly clear that's what you're into. Your behaviors, corroborated by these two books that I've measured and looked at it, you're not that interested. Divorce rates show that you're not that interested. So it's kind of like get off the pot or shit. Do you want marriage? You got to make some changes. If you don't, that's fine. Just tell everybody. And frankly, we know this. It's acting, responsibility and speaking the truth and accountability. That's not going to happen. What you guys need to seriously, guys, please read these two books: The Book of Numbers, Analyzing ROI in the Pursuit of Women, and The World Without Men. And there's other. That's not the main thesis of the books, but one of the things that I put in there is to show you with statistics and math Serengeti animal behavior, they're not that interested. They aren't. And it's going to be up to you guys to realize this and make conscious, practical decisions that are based in the real world, especially if you want to get married, which is again why I have no problem telling you guys, look, you're probably going to have to go overseas because not only is there not a adequate supply for all you men to find the right gal and have a kids and a family, even the gals here that claim to want to have a family, maybe they do want to have a family. They've been so inculcated and inoculated, or not inculcated and immersed in this feminist girl boss, anti-family, anti-nuclear family, anti nice, kind, sweet, contractual kind of the list we had there kind of wife, you're just going to have pain and agony. And girls, if you're here and you'd like to get married, contact me. I could give you a consultation. I'm not going to put together a video because most girls aren't going to listen to it. Like, how do you get the guys? Because I'll tell you, you've been told if marriage is really what you want, I guarantee you've been told everything wrong about how to get a guy. Because step one, have you ever asked what does the guy want? Did your parents ever tell you that, or was it you're the best and you're pretty and he better this and he better that and you better that and then some stupid dumbass platitude that you heard Oprah saying? It's got cute pink calligraphic writing as a meme. All right, if you're serious, girls, there's men here. There's quality men. But you're gonna pay me money because I'm not gonna go write a book or do a video that no one's gonna watch. All right. Link below are those two books, Book of Numbers and A World Without Men. Go ahead, get them. Let's go to the super chats. Ryan Stone, 20 Canadian, 20 bucks is 20 bucks. Go and subscribe to Ryan's channel. He might come visit me in Vegas this spring. WizDivision Productions, $5. Michael Scott from The Office. It's over. We are screwed. Now pass me some popcorn or a shot of whiskey. It's not over. See, that's the other thing. I don't want to go the other extreme, but based on the numbers I saw, the vast majority of women are effectively, not psychologically, they are effectively not really interested in a good and happy marriage. The vast majority of women are not attracted nor interested in the vast majority of men. I'm sure for every woman out there, there's a guy that will turn the key and all that. We don't have time to be talking about the exceptional 10%. Right? I don't think it's over or screwed. You just need to accept what the reality is in the dating, courtship, marriage market right now and say, okay, where can I actually go? And thank God we got a global economy, right? Oh no, we ran out of tungsten in the tungsten mines. Well, go to Argentina or wherever they have it and import it from over there. It's no different. And ladies, by all means, I can't find no man. Well, go overseas and find one. Have fun. WizDivision Productions, $5. People complain about women having social media. Honestly, I see this as an absolute win. They literally tell on themselves and leave a trail of evidence. Yes. It's hard. It's like watching surgery, I guess. It's hard to watch, but it's interesting and necessary to survive for that person to survive. You need truth. You need numbers on the ground. You need to know how many are KIA and how many are wounded. You need this data because at $9.6 million in opportunity costs, go look it up. You will waste $9.6 million chasing women when they're not interested in you. For the love of God, guys, if you got to get one, get this one so you know. Please get this one so you know. And yeah, now they're telling it like, okay, thanks for the information. I mean, the best thing a girl could say, hey, you want to go out? No, thank you. Thanks for being honest. It's just, and you can't listen to what they say because they feign. And that's the bait and switch on those TikTok gals. I just really wish I could find a guy. If only you'd let me fuck other men. Rage bait, click, 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 click. But listen, like, you're going through this shit. Like, we got to figure out what's true and not. Fuck this shit. Fuck it. Only reason I'm in this damn sex, I'm a mercenary. I'm paid. I'm a sniper. I'm like, there's something over there. Pow. All right, there's something over there. Pow. I get paid for this shit. Wednesday again, $5. The gender war is starting to feel like a repetitive episode of Looney Tunes. Rabbit season, men want intimacy. Duck season, women want free shit. Yeah, it is kind of getting tiring. Like where we figured out the rules. We know what's going on. I think as it continues on, it's merely just updating, oh, a new fad, or maybe there's a new tactic. But it really is kind of all the same. I mean, I'll keep you updated if there's any kind of things going on, but what would where I'd be reinvigorated in the sex war, although it would be the peace talks, girls started treating nice again. You start seeing girls like, not the fake trad thought, oh, I got cleavage in a 1950s dress down to here. Oh my God, it's coming back. No, like when I see a legit girl, like, yeah, I did this and not these fake Christian hotties. Like, oh my God, me and my husband, God, mom, and wife. Fuck off. Just Wisdom Vision production again. $5. What is love? Baby, don't don't hurt me no more. Elon Musk's filthy jockstrap, $2. Thanks for Western Governors University information starting the MBA application. Good for you, man. Good. You know that $500 you gave me? You're gonna save way more than that, man. Way more than that. Manosphere Unpacked. He has £1 British. Thank you for the British pound. Dre, $2. Cappy's precious is his Carlson school degree. No, it is not. No, it is not. PJ Cornell, $5. Even the feminists in the third world are better than the average Western woman for relationships. Yeah, they're thin. I know that's cheap and minimal to a lot of people, but not to men. They're thin. And I don't know if they're feminists now. It's like, no. You're not. It's poison. The real issue with the feminist thing is it's any kind of ist. It's you're celebrating something you were born with, not an achievement. Knock it off. It's peak hubris. I'm born this way. I'm amazing because I'm whatever. I'm black or an Asian or what. No. You, Feminism is like, oh my God, I got a vagina. Let's celebrate. Why? You're half the population. You're nothing special. In other words, it shows self-centered and flawed thinking already. Dre, $2. Women overseas are still women. Don't get it twisted. I'm aware of that. I'm aware. Dre, $2. No men overseas ever said we want a USA girl boss. Right, but when they say we don't care, we don't. Well, then say right. Just remove the football. We don't care what men want. All right, well then we're not getting married. Why would we go out if you don't care what we want? I go over to my buddy's place. Mike, hey Joe, you want to go play baseball? I don't care what you want. Well, I guess we're not playing baseball. Why doesn't anyone come over and hang out with me? Elon Musk's filthy jockstrap, $2. Sent you a Recon Man email February 15th and 16th. A month ago? Was that when you were in Vegas or out? I think I might have gotten that. Look, I respond to things like if there was a request, let me know. But you guys I'm getting a lot of requests now that aren't requests. Blah. What's your fucking question? Not you, Elon, but if you had a question, I would have responded to it. All right. Oh, Glorfindel, $2. Nice makeover, Cappy. The gloves are off. What makeover? I'm wearing the same shit I always do. Only thing is the lights are on because I had to read my notes. There we go. That's it. Cappy is going to go off to the gym so I can get duck girls. See you guys later, Toodles.